Hello there, you're watching and listening to another Scoutcast from www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark.
My name's Jonty.
My name's Andy.
My name's Az.
Good evening, Az. Welcome. Thank you for stepping in for Granville. We've got some theories as to why Granville's not here. Jonty will go into detail about that. But you're listening to another Scoutcast. That will be middle-aged men, although Andy argues he's not, and Chaz probably would argue he's not tonight. But me and Jonty are fairly middle-aged, talking about fantasy football. What have we got coming up? We're going to be talking about batting the blanks. The blanks and the double game weeks, they're going to dominate, aren't they, Jonty, tonight?
Yeah, definitely. We're also going to look at Chelsea and Liverpool attackers and hammer time, and what to do about West Brom as well in a few weeks' time. And budget defenders, and also all the usual
hammer time. Have you got the pants ready?
I've got the trousers on already. I've got the dance all prepped
under the desk.
We'll also look ahead in detail at game week 26. Fancy high risks, clean sheets, all the rest.
Yes, absolutely. So, Az, welcome aboard. It's always good to see your smiley face and your hairsuit face, of course, which fits right in. We do not really in the notes because Jonty wasn't prepared for this. So we'll start with you with your game week 26, shall we? Before we move on to the rest of us, take it away. How did you do?
Well, all right, but not great. It's been a rough couple of weeks for my fantasy season. I think I was kind of hovering around the 150k mark for about 6 weeks. Now I've dropped into the 200s, so it's gone downhill. I captained Sigurdsson, like you and Jonty. I thought Hull would put up a good fight against Arsenal, which they did, but he was a bit jammy, wasn't he? So he got the points.
I'll tell you what, watching Sanchez in that game was horrible. I mean, that is someone who owns Sanchez. I mean, watching that game, if you didn't have Sanchez at all, would have been really awful. But yeah, he was a little bit fortunate with those goals, wasn't he?
Yeah, and it was like you said in the preamble, like as soon as he scored those 2 goals, it just ruined the whole week, because I thought Siggy would do well, but 15 points was always going to be a tough ask. I've still got Benteke, so I wasn't really expecting any points from him, and he delivered on that. I got some points from Peters, who was playing Benteke, so I thought one of them might do all right. Some points from Baines, but that was about it. Just average. Yeah.
Did you get more than 46? What was your total?
I got 57.
So you beat Granville anyway, so a good stand-in for Granville.
Yeah.
Andy, we'll come to you next because you're top of the pile, 69. You went with Sanchez. You didn't get aboard this bandwagon that Jonty and Az and I were on. The Sigurdsson, you ignored that totally, playing the averages and went with Sanchez.
Yeah, I said last week I decided to play a bit more boring, and yes, he got lucky, but if I hadn't captained him, I would have probably got a red arrow this week. So yeah, I think he's most captained by live teams these days. Obviously, it's not going to be this week, but the last few weeks, yeah, so that's why I went for him. And like I said, I was happy to own Sigurdsson. Sigurdsson's probably always going to tick over, but I just don't see a haul from him, especially when you've got Sanchez playing at home. So yeah, happy enough with that. But the big one was bringing in Alfie Mawson for a hit.
Didn't take you long to get him in, was it? You were saying before we came on air, when are we going to mention Alfie Mawson? And you got him in the first 5 minutes. Congratulations there.
Next 15 minutes will be dedicated to that volley.
That is your equivalent of the goals imminent table. Let's talk Alfie Mawson. And he has done brilliantly for you, though, hasn't he?
Basically, the reason is I knew that I was a bit low on numbers for the blanks. I had Holebas playing Man United away, and I knew he just wasn't going to get anything. So he got 1 point. So I was just hoping for a clean sheet, really, and a bonus point or two. And then when he volleyed that goal in, it was just happy days, really. So, yeah, 15 points from him.
Sweetly taken goal, wasn't it? I've got to say.
It was a brilliant finish, yeah.
Yeah, and he looks very handy indeed for you. So, big success of him. And you've got him in the bank for the doubles and the blanks, rather. And, yes, it's going to be it's a good signing, I think. Very well played with that one, I've got to say.
I posted on the site saying, should I swap Jones to Mawson for a hit? And I think I had about 6 people said to do it. And I just didn't do it. So...
That's the exact move I made.
Yeah, I know.
For a hit, though, it's tricky, isn't it? But, I mean, yeah.
Jones was injured, though. It was a good move.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Jonty, 52 points. You had the Siggy captain.
Yeah, it's quite reasonable. Yeah, I mean, it's above average, not a green arrow. But, yeah, obviously missed out on the Sanchez captaincy there. But, as I said, could have easily have gone the other way. But the big bonus was I got Johnny Evans' goal and a Chris Brunt assist. Oh, what? No, did I not get that? No, I didn't.
You didn't. So. Yeah, and you never had it. It's not like it was in the game and taken away.
I realise I've seen the evidence now. I've seen it from the different angle from the grassy knoll with back
into the left.
Lee Harvey Oswald's hair getting in the way. No, I've seen that now. That's fine. I'm over it now. It's been a couple of weeks.
I've got to say, like, obviously I was very jammy getting the Macaulay goal. And when I saw it firsthand, I was like, Evans goal, Brunt assist, done. And then when it went in the game, I was like, whoa, what's happened here? Is that a mistaken identity? My instant reaction was, that's got to be wrong. And then I saw an angle and I thought, really? And it was when you see it, well, obviously we showed it on the show. It's an amazing spot to spot that within minutes in real time. And it is, I know people are going to say, oh, it should have been Evans' goal, but it actually does look as though it wouldn't have gone in had it not touched off Macaulay. It was going maybe across the goal. You can't tell, but it doesn't matter. He got the last touch, so it's Macaulay goal. Not going to go into any more detail on it. But it was even sweeter because I didn't realise you had Brunt and Evans. That makes it, for me personally, that is, and the fact that you took both of those, that is very
I took it there. But, you know, I mean, now this season, I can look back on it with Johnny Evans. I've got his goal and his assist for the season in my team. So that was quite something. You never expect anything like that from Johnny Evans. Well, you expect
injuries from Johnny Evans.
You expect injuries and you expect clean sheets at home with the possibility of a bonus point.
Not many clean sheets at home, to be fair.
No, but that's kind of what you expect from him. But
he came off the bench, didn't he?
Yeah, he came off the bench as well. Yeah. He came off he was right at the end of my bench. He was way off. He was. I called him on. I said, Stanislas not playing. On you get, Johnny. And it wasn't to be. I couldn't get his second goal of a season. Imagine that. 2 Johnny Evans goals in a season.
It was unfortunate. Macaulay did go away and celebrate as well. So he was like, it was very, very strange. We won't see a goal like that again until probably Saturday. But crazy. And I've got hands up. I got Chambers off the bench as my first sub for Stanislas, who got 7 points, which, of course, if Granville was ill, he'd be feeding on a jam donut at this very moment. And Andy Lovey's jammy Dodgers out. Very fortunate. Obviously, my entire season now will go down as lucky on the basis of my game week 26 being fortunate. I've got hands up. Yeah, Macaulay goal and the Chambers off the bench. Not the first time I've had points off the bench as well. I think it's second or third. So, yeah, all right, I'll take it. I've got to say the luck is with me at the moment. It happens though, doesn't it? You had this earlier in the season, didn't you? Bad luck and good luck. It just runs. You start getting good scores and a bit of good luck and it just runs. And equally, you start getting bad scores and nothing goes for you at all, which is what you experienced for about 5 or 6 weeks, wasn't it, Jonty?
I had a terrible. I mean, I've gone up a million places, if you can believe that, in the last 12 game weeks, which is quite something. But I don't think my season will ever recover from November when I had that bad luck. It was that Firmino in move. So Lallana in for Firmino. Lallana gets injured. Firmino moves into a better position, and that particular injury, and then the whole of November, I had 20 scores underneath 30 points.
Yeah,
I've never had that in like 9-10 years. I've had like the occasional 20 point score, but 3 in a row, and it was wow. I mean, and I look back on it, and it was not actually apart from getting rid of Firmino, there was not actually much I did particularly wrong. I had like Ibrahimovic, Sanchez, all the boys.
No, I mean, the thing is, I look at my score and had I captained Sanchez, I'd have ended up with a very big score. I still got a green arrow out of it, even though I made the completely risky choice for the captaincy. I got away with it, which I was like, the luck is on my side at the moment. I've got momentum, so let's see how far I can go. Rough with a smooth, Jonty. Let's hit on some community tales.
This is good. Yeah, it's basically just dedicated to one move. It was, I put it up on site. I didn't think that people getting rid of Sanchez before Hull at home was an entirely most sensible move in fantasy football, because there were 75,000 of them that did that week. I didn't understand it, but we did our rough with the smooth. I wanted some of them to fess up, and they did. So it's rough, but I think it's smooth because some people go hiding when they get a low score, but these people, they came in there and they made a mistake and they came out and they fessed up. So great. Here's the roll of honour, which it is. Powell.
Go for it.
He's an Arsenal fan. He watches the games. He couldn't see his Sanchez score when he was very close to being right there because it was a couple of handballs there. Thought they'd struggle. Yeah, got rid of Sanchez. Ended up top 5,000 down to 30,000. Fabinho's forehead. He spent a hit to dump Sanchez and one of his 4.5 striker to get Sigurdsson, and then it get worse to captain Jesus.
I mean, it's a great punt, though.
It's a great punt. But you mentioned about luck going your way. Now, Fabinho's forehead is, he's like us. He's been doing this for years. He's a great manager,
You got a feel for him.
He took a devilish move there. You know, it was a really, really cheeky move. Could have paid off. And then that happened. So, you know, once you getting rid of Sanchez and then the Jesus captaincy.
He didn't deserve that, did he?
Didn't deserve, no, undeserved. And Jigger and Pony, Sanchez and Jones out for Sigurdsson and Alonso. Terrible week for him in the end. Eric Peters was his highest scorer in the end, which, yeah. But all of them, absolute legends for
coming out.
And doing it. That's the key. You know, that's the thing I want people to go away from that.
You got to take it on the chin. I mean, you know, Jigger and Pony's got Alonso and Sigurdsson in, which in the next 3 or 4 weeks he'll do all right out of that. I think. You know, Chelsea have got good fixtures. I know they missed one. Sigurdsson will do fine for him. And you know, people are transferring out Sanchez now for sure, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So. He just made it that little bit too early. I did worry about it, but I mean, like those people, I thought Sanchez might struggle to get a haul. I thought he might get a goal. I really did think Sigurdsson would outscore him, or had a good chance to.
Yeah, that's why we kept him.
And the thing is, it could have worked that way, but it's just there's something about Sanchez this season. I said it in the knee jerk on Saturday. He's almost got the luck on his side as well. He got the last minute penalty against Burnley, and I captained him that day and got fortunate. And he got fortunate with that because Giroud was off the pitch, and he got the last minute penalty against Hull as well, and the handball goal. And you know, Hull played well, and had that goal been disallowed, had Clattenburg had seen it, he was obviously thinking about camels and what have you. He would have disallowed it, and then you know it's. It would have been a different game. So it's just the luck, really. Sanchez is blessed this season, though.
I don't think he's playing up front because on the end of the last Scoutcast, we were chatting about whether he would or not play up front or whether Giroud would come back in. And it looks like that is just it. That's Wenger's formation with Sanchez up front this year now.
I think that is the case. If Walcott's fit, that's what he's going to play, it seems. So it's not Giroud's form, it's Walcott's fitness, I think, which is against it. So just the rough this week, is it, Jonty?
Well, no, they're smooth because they've come forward. They've come forward.
Oh, I see. You're
you see, okay. Rough and the smooth operators, roughly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Doing 50% of the work, but still getting rough.
Exactly.
Clever stuff from John T. Smooth in itself.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to community questions. I don't think you've cut any corners here. We've got plenty to hit. We're home with lots of testing questions. All about the blanks, isn't it? You put this under battling the blanks. You're going to do a quick recap for us.
Right. Okay. Here's the quick recap. Game week 26. Man U, Southampton, Arsenal, Man City. All of them miss out. Game week 26. You can't play them. Game week 28. There's quite a few miss outs. So I'll just say who's playing. Bournemouth, Burnley, Everton, Hull City, Liverpool, Swansea, West Brom, West Ham. They play. They're safe.
Yeah.
So some of the main questions centre around what we're immediately going to be doing about that game week 26. So Manchester United and Arsenal aren't playing this weekend. So what do we do with Sanchez and Ibrahimovic? Hugely well owned, 30 to 40% ownership there. So Philman asks, with Man U's congested fixture schedule, blanks in 26 and 28, can we afford to sell Ibrahimovic and ignore him for the next few weeks? Or is the risk of not captaining in game week 27, we have to remind people, Bournemouth come to visit. Bournemouth are the current whipping boys. Is that risk too great? And FPL Virgin asks Sanchez and Ibrahimovic bench or sell, and if selling, do you have a plan to get either of them back, and how do you propose to do that? So I mean, just a quick thing what Pacino says. Now Pacino's our kind of resident blank fixture double game week expert, and he just basically said quite simple, as a general rule, you've got transfers at the moment. Use your free transfers over the next 3 game weeks to ensure that you have as many active players as possible to cover game weeks 26 and 28. Quite simple, really. So that's quite a nice, simple piece of advice there. Look at those. And we're going to come to how many we've all got for 26 and 28 in a minute. But that's what you need to be looking at and making sure you can get as many good players out as you can. Yeah,
I mean, we've got a clearer picture now. We're still waiting on the City Huddersfield replay, but I think that's going to drop out as well. And then City are going to be in that boat as well. It's tough. Game week 28 is looking like a real test, and it's interesting to see how many people are waking up to it now. I mean, obviously anyone who listens to this, we've been rattling on about it for weeks, and there's been a lot of chatter on the site. But I think more and more people that I know who don't come to Fantasy Football Scout, imagine that, mentioning, there's some postponements coming up. That's right. A lot of people are waking up to it now. The market's going to change a bit because of that, and going to be very interesting few weeks. So I guess we're going to look at our teams and how we're prepared for this. John T, you look all right, don't you? You're quite happy about this.
I'm game week 26. I'm absolutely fine. I can field I can field 11 now if I don't make any changes. I also have 2 free transfers, so I'm very well set up.
Is that 11 without Stanislaus, is it?
That's 11 without Stanislaus. Yeah, I've got Daniels on the bench as well, so I've actually got 12. So I'm doing okay there. That's all fine. So I've got those 2 frees, and then in game 28 I'm fine as well. I've got 10 including Stanislaus, so let's say 9. I'll be looking to get another one in. So by the end of game week 26, all being well, barring injuries, suspensions, I'll have 10 already. So I'm well set up to field 11. And I've got the key ones I think are key anyway: Sigurdsson, Lukaku, an Everton defender, and a West Brom defender or 2.
Yeah, and at that point you start switching to start looking at the players with double game weeks.
So then I have to start thinking. So it's a bit of a mixed blessing.
It's a flip flop, isn't it?
I'll be going from game week 28 thinking, woohoo, look at me with my 11 players, no hits. And then immediately I'll be in game week 29. I'll be looking at enviously at other people's teams who haven't done that because they're going to be stocked up already with double game week players. So then I might have to start to think about using my wild card ahead of the first set of double game weeks rather than having a choice. Or, depending on how it goes, because I've still got those 2 free transfers, maybe move along there. But yeah, so it's a double-edged sword really, being that well prepared.
Okay, well let's talk to Az because he's not on here. How are you looking for 26 and 28?
I've got problems. And I didn't realise how bad the problems were until John T pointed them out to me.
Oh, he loves pointing that out.
When he looked at my team before I came on here. I've got injuries. I've got Benteke. I've got Jones. I've got Benteke. I've got Holgate, who I bought a couple of weeks ago, who I thought might. They were looking quite good with the 3 at the back and the wing back, so I thought he might keep his place. That hasn't worked out well. I've got Ibrahimovic. Got Sanchez. I think I've got 9 players for 26 and 4 for 28 at the moment. I've got a big hit planned this week, so at least that's something interesting to talk about.
So are you going to take the hits early and get your team better short term, and then obviously you hope to get those hits back in 28? Is that your tactic?
Yeah, I think this is the week to do it because I'm bringing in 3 players who have got good fixtures this week, so I think it's going to be immediate returns. Looking at bringing in Lukaku, Mane, and Maguire. And shifting out 2 players who don't even have games and Benteke. So I can't see any way that it won't repay the 8-point hit immediately, and it's going to set me up nicely going forward. So
yeah, okay. So Ibrahimovic and Sanchez are staying then?
Sanchez has gone already.
Sanchez has gone, right? Okay.
I'm going to keep Ibra just because of that Bournemouth game. But yeah, and I'm going to get rid of Jones, who I should have got rid of ages ago. Keep Ibra, bench him. Yeah, and hope for the best. But Sanchez is gone. I think. I feel happy with it. I think it's the time for him to go. He's had his 15 points now, and
yeah, I mean, I've got to say, before the Burnley result, I was keeping Sanchez probably, but as soon as Liverpool became available, it changed everything.
Yeah,
suddenly Mane was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was 50-50, and I was probably looking at getting someone in like Snodgrass or someone like that for him. But yeah, as soon as that Liverpool game, I mean, one of those Liverpool mids looks a great pick, I think, for him.
Okay, coming to you next, Andy. What's your situation? Jonty's got 6 down. Has he got that right? Because he's got mine completely wrong. But go on, he's got 6 for you there.
I think it's 6. Yeah, I did double check. I'm pretty sure it was. Plus, I've got Amat, who doesn't count. Obviously, he's not gonna play. But yeah, 6 who are likely to play. I'm also lining up a hit this week. It'll either be 4 or 8 points. So I'll either get to bring another 2 or 3. So I potentially have 9 by the end of. By the start of this game week. And obviously then we've got 2 free transfers to get in another 2 as and when I wish. Like you said, I think the Liverpool, the fact they're not blanking now has basically changed everything. I was looking at playing 4 or 5 at the back and getting in the cheaper defenders to kind of fill in space who I could then bench in other game weeks. But now I'm just going to get rid of Sanchez, probably Mkhitaryan too. I might bring in 2 Liverpool midfielders and play 3-5-2. I know, but I just don't see how that's a bad move.
No, I think you're right, and we're going to talk about Liverpool later.
Yeah.
But I mean, the issue is we don't know. For me, I'm looking at it going, which one? Well, maybe you just get 2. And
exactly. I don't have to. I have 2 in mind. I'm just going to get them both. Yeah, I'm looking okay. I think. Obviously, I'm going to take the hit now. I like Az. I think that'll repay itself over the next 3 game weeks. I kind of want to keep Mkhitaryan for Bournemouth at home, but I don't think he's done enough for me really. And then Ibra. yes, there's Bournemouth captaincy is obviously a key part of it, but it's just who do you bring in for him, really? If you've already got Lukaku, then I don't really see who you're bringing in. Kane or Costa, but they're blanking in 28 as well. So for me, I just think a defender that I'm going to play this week will hopefully try and keep up pace with Kane and Costa just for this 1 week, and then I've got Ibra captain against Bournemouth, so I think that's the way to play it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue is Kane's at home to Stoke, Costa's at home to Swansea. If they had tougher games, I could see it wouldn't be an option, but it is tempting, isn't it?
It's tempting, but you're just bringing them in for that one game.
I know.
They're the better option the week after, and then they're all blanking. So I just think, I suppose I'm gambling that they don't go big, really. If they do, then obviously it's possibly the wrong decision. All depends what Ibra does in 27. So it's possibly a risk, but I think it's one worth taking.
So how are you feeling about 27? It sounds like Az is in that camp, and he's definitely he's keeping Ibra for that. You are as well, I take it. Can we bank on this? Because I don't know. I've still got doubts about him getting big hauls. I know he's done well in Europe and then in the FA Cup.
The way I look at it is who's a better option in that week? Yeah, okay, he might not get a haul, but I look at... So Man City against Sunderland's good, but I'm not going to bring in Aguero, who is then going to blank. Liverpool playing Arsenal, and to be honest, there's no striker there anyway. Kane against Everton, it's not the greatest fixture, and Chelsea are away from home.
Yeah, you're going Siggy again, aren't you?
Exactly, and I'd rather captain Ibra.
Yeah.
I think there's more of a chance.
It's the best fixture you can get, isn't it? I think Bournemouth at home, and if you're not keeping him for that, then I doubt you're going to keep him for the long run. If you don't expect him to get points in that, what's the point of having him altogether?
Well, this is it. I do look at it and think, well, Ibra probably will. I quite fancy Ibra to Kane later on. I really do, because I think Tottenham's fixtures are stronger after the blanks are out of the way. But then United have got 2 doubles, haven't they? So it's very
I mean, I have the option that I could remove Ibrahimovic, do what I call an Ibrahimovic hokey cokey, which is remove Ibrahimovic, use one of my 2 free transfers, Ibrahimovic to Costa at Swansea. We'll come to why Costa against Swansea is a good thing a bit later. And then back again for game week 27. I don't particularly like the sound of that. It sounds a bit crazy, but it could really pay off. And just use that because I don't have to make other moves. So
I think there's 2 good captaincy options. The 2 standout captaincy options this week are Costa and Lukaku.
Yeah.
So I think people switching Ibra to Costa, although he has got the blank in a few weeks, it gives you that really good captaincy option if you don't have Lukaku.
If you don't have Lukaku, I think that's a good move. But also, if I did that, I would still captain Lukaku. Lukaku is the player that I've had my eye on to captain for this week. And I think if I got a player in, I used one of those precious transfers to get another player in and captain them, and then they got maybe 2-4 points, and Lukaku does what he did against Bournemouth against Sunderland this weekend, then I've tried to be clever and it's cost me. But if I stick with Lukaku and the captaincy, at least I know, there's no, there'll be no regrets then. I've stuck with
the thing is, with that, as if you haven't got Lukaku, you're not going to bring Ibra out and get Costa in. You're going to get Ibra out and get Lukaku in, surely. Okay. So I just don't see it. I've got Hazard, so I don't need to get Costa in. Kane is the one that's tempting me, though. It's because of the hat-trick against Fulham, back in form. So, I don't know. Can we trust him, though? Can we trust Spurs? It's very, very difficult, isn't it? So just looking at my team, you've put here I've got 5. Yeah, that is correct. Plus, I need to take a hit to field 11 in game week 26. No, I don't. I've got 2 free transfers, John T.
Oh, you got 2 free transfers, have you? Oh, you didn't realise you had one held over.
Yeah, no, I've got one held over. I'm all right. So
okay.
I'm all right. Yeah, so
you've got to use your 2. You've got to use your 2.
Yeah, so I will probably get Sanchez out for Manny or Firmino, and then Amat will probably go for Maguire or Robertson. It may be. I don't know. I've got 1.7 in the bank as well, so I've got enough to. I'm seriously looking at the Ibra switch just for 1 week as well, like you are. I'm doing a flip flop with it, but it's Maverick, isn't it? And then I'm looking at, can I go out Ibra over to Bournemouth? It's risky, isn't it? It's risky. It's such an interesting time, and these are the decisions which I'm probably going to Sanchez to Manny quite quickly, probably in the next 24 hours, and then I'm going to sleep on the other 1 or 2 transfers for a couple of days, leave it to the last minute. But I might take a hit like Az and Andy is. What are you doing? I guess you don't need to take hits, John T.
No, well, I'm yeah. So Sanchez to Mane for me. We'll come to Liverpool a bit later about why I favour Mane as the midfielder to get from Liverpool. But that to me is a very obvious move, and I really haven't done it now because I'm ignoring the transfer market. I've had my fill of it this season. So I'm just now ignoring it, pretending it's not there. I'm just going to make my moves on a Friday as per usual. So that's one move. And I might make the other, but I think realistically, I'm probably going to save the transfer. I'm going to keep Ibrahimovic on my bench, I think.
Right. No, fair enough. Let's talk about Liverpool then, Jonty.
Well, yeah, I mean, we get a lot of questions about this. So, and it's mainly obviously looking at their midfielders because, as Andy pointed out, they don't really have a striker. Hindu Monkey, he's saying, he says there's literally nothing about Mane's stats that make a compelling case for the extra 1 million over Firmino and Coutinho. But then he concedes he hasn't watched their last 2 matches. So he's asking us, is the eye test winning it? And then Brooklyn Guna asked for cheapskates like him. Are there any cheap ones within Liverpool? Wijnaldum or Lallana perhaps, or Milner even. And Atletico Timbo asked Mane, Firmino or Coutinho. Pretty simple, really. Illusions actually thinks going a bit further is 2 Liverpool midfielders overkill. Well, Andy, I know we already know Andy's views about that. So looking at this, I've looked at goal involvement really. And when they're on the pitch, so let's discount Origi. He's got high goal involvement when he's on the pitch, but the trouble is he's not too often. And it's pretty high really. Coutinho, Lallana, and Mane. They're the ones who are sharing the bulk of it. Much further down, so they're on around 33%, so about a third, and then much further down on 20% is Firmino. So he's the kind of also ran in terms of goal involvement, and you can see how they're set up. So Firmino's the false 9. He's there getting in the way. And then that allows the space for the wingers and the central midfielders to come forward and score, which the stats show that is exactly what's happening. I haven't seen anything to suggest anything else is going to change with the Liverpool tactics. So for me, that says Mane is the one. He's been involved in 1 in 5 Liverpool away goals. Firmino's been involved in 1 in 10 Liverpool away goals. Leicester are away next. Mane has been involved in just under a third of all Liverpool's goals. And Firmino involved in 1 in 5 there. So we've got that. And then 4 out of 6 at home. Next 6 fixtures, you've got 4 at home. That's not a problem there for Mane. He's actually top of goal involvement when it comes to home games at Anfield. So 37% goal involvement he's got there. Another tick for Mane there. And as I said, all the play is geared towards the likes of Mane if he's on fire to get goals. So that's why he gets the nod for me. Yeah,
I mean, we've done an article on it tonight, just gone out the start on Wednesday, on Tuesday night, and this, I mean, Firmino's stats are strong. I mean, he is the maverick pick of the 2. I think Mane's the obvious route to go because he had the form before Africa Cup of Nations. He's come back and he's hit the ground running, and he seems to be their cutting edge. The goal conversion is a factor. If you're a member, go and read the article, and that seems to be the one stat. So there is one stat. I mean, Hindu Monkey's not quite on the ball with that. There is a stat there that shows that Mane is the better option. Ownership is going up, of course. Mane is accelerating away in ownership faster than Firmino, so there's price considerations as well. You're more likely, I expect, if Mane scores against Leicester, even if Firmino does as well, Mane is going to be the one that accelerates more in terms of ownership. So you're more likely to make a bit of money out of it. But Andy, it's interesting that Andy's going to go with 2 maybe, because I think that is a solution. I think Illusions is right in that respect. And if we can't choose, why choose? Just go with the 2 that you think. And one of the things the article shows is Coutinho has dropped off a bit. Again, more detail if you're a member to look at that. So Andy, I guess the 2 you're looking at is Firmino and Mane, is it?
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like I'm discounting Coutinho too easily because I know he dropped off, but I think some of that was when Mane wasn't around, so I think that's probably not helped him. So now Mane's back, I'd expect Coutinho maybe to step it up. But the problem is I need to make a decision this week when he hasn't done that. So yeah, I'm looking at 2 Liverpool mids. I think it's hard to argue against Mane being the main man. It feels a bit easy because he's the one who scored in the last game. But like you said, he had the form prior to African Cup of Nations. He's obviously didn't do anything against Hull, but straight away again against Spurs, he's back on the score sheet. So yeah, Mane and Firmino are going to be my 2. If I had to rank them 1 and 2, then it probably would be Mane and Firmino. Mane number 1. For
so who's coming out for you? Who's making way? Sanchez and who?
Mkhitaryan.
Right. Yeah, I think that's an easy decision.
This is the thing. Like, I hate giving this as an answer to people. It really does depend on your team. For my team, that means that I don't have to play Mawson against Chelsea, and I don't have to worry about Amat straight away. So it means I get to play 3-5-2, and potentially Liverpool midfielders in game week 28 against Burnley at home are captain options too.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it and think, well, if I go Sanchez to Mane, the only option to get Firmino is I'd have to get rid of Eriksen, and Eriksen's playing Stoke, and
so you wouldn't.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I'm keeping Ali. It's only because Mkhitaryan's got that blank. I mean, I could get Coleman in instead of a second Liverpool mid and keep Mkhitaryan for Bournemouth, but I don't know. I kind of like the 2 Liverpool picks all of a sudden, of course.
Yeah, no, I like that. Az, what you're thinking? I mean, is it straight to Mane? Simple as that.
Yeah, it's amazing how much they missed him when he was away. He's kind of become like their Kane or their Ibrahimovic or their old Aguero. He seems to be so crucial now to everything they do. Manager loves him. A lot of the plays going down that side. Just everything screams to me that he's the best pick. I've never been a big fan of Firmino. I do like Coutinho, but he hasn't quite looked right. I mean, none of the team has, but I don't know. He's always been quite streaky, and he seems to be in a poor run. So unless you're going to gamble, it's more of a gamble, I think, with Coutinho. Whereas I think Mane's more likely to keep his form up. So if you've got the cash, there's a price difference. But if you've got the cash, then I think Mane's the one to get.
It's unanimous, isn't it, John T? There's just it doesn't seem to be a little nudge from Andy there getting Firmino in as well, but it's 4 out of 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, that's when he passes the eye test as well, and just everything about him to me. And the other thing, attractive thing for me personally, is that I haven't owned him this season at all.
For me.
I'm actually quite excited about owning him for the first time because I think he's 4th now in highest scoring midfielder in FPL. Yeah, obviously a great player, capable of huge point hauls. And
I don't think I've ever owned him. Right? I don't think I've ever owned him any season.
I have for Southampton.
Yeah,
Mark definitely has in Southampton.
Well, I was going to say he's done me well in the pie. I mean, he's one player that I like to go to because it's funny how you become loyal to players because you've got memories of them doing well for you. And that hat-trick he scored for me while I was in Waitrose, I'll never forget that. Buying my shopping, getting my Moroccan hummus. We were short on hummus. It was a bit of a crisis. We were out of breadsticks. There I was shopping on the travelator. Do you call it a travelator? You don't call it a travelator. There was no gladiators involved. But it was on the travelator. By the time it came off the travelator in the trolley, he'd gone from no goals to 3 goals. I remember looking at my phone as I was unpacking the trolley, and then looking at my phone as I put the bags in the trolley, and he got a hat trick in the time it took me to spend far too much money in Waitrose. I'll never forget that. So he's a player dear to my heart. So I think I've got to go back to him. Yeah. Okay, let's talk Chelsea, so John T.
Yeah, so Concrete asks, can we go without Chelsea attack? And FPL Virgin again asks, can Pedro cover Hazard and Costa's points? So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I'm going to be saying Costa for me. Now, yes, they do have a blank, but they have Swansea at home, and then they have West Ham away. I think they're both very good fixtures. So a lot of people have said to me, so I say, Diego Costa against Swansea, that looks absolutely brilliant. And people say, his stats look awful the last 4 game weeks. I don't think they have looked particularly bad. He's actually had 1 less shot on target than Lukaku over the last 4. Lukaku's been okay over the last 4. And he's 3rd for shots in the box over the last 4. And among strikers, he's 2nd for goal attempts over the last 4. And also looking at the fixtures he had, so he's had Liverpool and Arsenal and Burnley's home defence. I mean, they were tough. And this is a fun fact. I like this. So Lukaku had 4 shots on targets in the 4 games before he scored 4 against Bournemouth. Costa has had 4 shots on target in the 4 games before Swansea. And this one is the key one. Costa scored 7 times against Swansea.
In 4 games.
4 games. So he likes to score against Swansea, whatever the Swansea team. He absolutely loves it. So, he passes that eye test, on a scale of crawling open flied through a field of broken glass to get to goal. Where does Costa rank? You got 0 at Vardy and Sanchez at 10 because Sanchez is desperate to score. I put Costa at 8, 9, 10 almost. He still looks to me like he's desperate to score.
See, so those stats were like, he got 7 goals against Swansea. It shouldn't really matter, should it? Right? People. I mean, I'm always cynical about that. Why does that matter? He's playing a completely different Swansea back 4 under a different manager. And yet, how many times do we see it though? Do we? Where a player does score against the same team over and over again? It's just
your Waitrose example with your hummus and Mane's hat trick. So I've had that I've had Costa for all of those hauls against Swansea, except the one earlier this season. And for me, I've been dog walking, and I remember in a field, and and I'm listening to the match on the radio, And these are just non-stop Costa goals going in against Swansea. And ever since, I think it was the first one, I just thought, right, I'm getting Costa in against Swansea again. And he just keeps doing it. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, okay. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, what do we think, Andy, on Costa? I mean, I've got Hazard, and I think I'm probably going to leave it at that. But it is tempting, isn't it? Do you think he's going to do? I mean, West Ham, not an easy game, is it? Or is that the kind of game he scores in as well?
Yeah, I don't know about West Ham really. I'm still not sure about the defence. Obviously, they've got Font in now, which should shore up a bit. But I can see him scoring in both those games. I've said it a few times. Costa just doesn't. I never think he's going to get like a huge score. So he probably will score against Swansea. But how many is he going to score? Is he going to get bonus assists? I don't know. And I'm not too worried about not owning him. I don't know how much damage he can do in just a single game week. Now, if there was no blanks and he had good fixtures for, say, the next 5 and I didn't own him, then I think he could do some damage to me over the long term. But I just wonder how much he's going to do to me by not owning him for one single week. And like we said earlier, Ibra's got the better fixture in 27. So I'm not looking at him bringing him in. If you've got spare transfers, then you could have worse picks this week. But for me, I'm just not looking to bring him in at all. Costa.
He's not got double figures at home this season either. 9's his biggest score at home. Az, what's your view on it?
Well, I've got Costa. I've had him for ages, and I even held him throughout his whole moving to China fiasco. I could have swapped him for Lukaku, which would have netted me a lot more points, but I don't talk about that. So yeah, I last time I was on here, I made a couple of crazy claims. I think I was tipping De Bruyne to smash it with Aguero suspended, and I was talking about Emre Can being a good option and stuff. But one thing I did say was that Costa would challenge for the Golden Boot and be the standout Chelsea option, and I still stand by that. I think he's going to win the Golden Boot this year. It's my own personal thought. He looks like he's got his hunger back in the last couple of games, despite losing out a bit when the whole China move was going on. And that Swansea game all the things are there for him to absolutely smash it. So, in your position, I would be looking to bring him in, and I'm probably going to captain him this week. So, yeah, I think he's a Chelsea man to have going forward.
Interesting stuff, Jonty. Back to you. I mean, we're going to answer FPL Virgin's question about Pedro covering Hazard and Costa as well. He's kind of like the lesser of the three, isn't he?
He is, but I mean, he's got a great. He has got a good home record. He seems nailed on. There's always the off chance that he might not play.
Oh, he'll play at home to Swansea.
I'm fairly certain he will. Yeah, but yes, I think he is a good option. I mean, he's the top corner taker. Last 4 game weeks, and so pretty much standardly. So he's taken those corners. So he's got a lot of assist potential there. He's putting in the most crosses as well, 22. He's put in. Moses and Alonso are just behind him there, and he's had 4 goal attempts, same as Hazard. So I think you've got to be comparing him to Hazard. Obviously, as another midfielder, and there's that massive price difference. And I don't have Hazard. I don't particularly want to get Hazard. I think he could do well against Swansea. I also think Pedro could as well. So if I was looking for a Chelsea midfielder now. Be a short-term option because game week 28.
Yeah, this is it.
Pedro would be my man. I think he's matching. In fact, last 4 in terms of chances, he's beating Hazard. Yeah. So it's just that price difference.
It's just that risk of Willian as well, though, isn't it? I feel like I've got so many rotation risks in my team at the moment with Stanislas and Holgate, and the thought of bringing in a Pedro and then seeing Willian get 3 runs of games in a row just fills me with dread.
No, it's fair enough. I just don't see it as well. I mean, the Costa thing, if they didn't have a blanket, it'd be a no-brainer for me. But the fact we're making a move, which we're wasting a transfer really, and I've only got 5 players for game week 28 already, so I don't think I can afford to do it. I think if I was in Jonty's position, I'd be looking at it though, and you are going to do it. You think?
Well, I'm tempted. Yeah, it all depends whether I can. I mean, Kane is an option as well. I've got Ali as well, and Spurs. They do have a tendency to disappoint. I don't particularly want I don't particularly want an Ali and Kane. So that's getting on for nearly 20 million. My budget caught up in Spurs not firing, and also I've never forgiven for Kane. I got him in for that whole Burnley games at home, meant to score, did absolutely nothing for him. So I'm not too keen on Kane at the moment.
I actually think, admittedly, I do have a bit of a bias against Costa, but I think Kane is better captain option this week than Costa. Like, Costa would actually be my, I think, 3rd. So I've put Kane and Lukaku ahead of him. Or am I just completely
I think you're right. I mean, Kane has got the bigger ceiling, I think, because he will get he could get a bigger score. I think Costa's more likely to score, but Kane's more likely to get a big score. If that makes sense.
Spurs are just a bit at the moment, aren't they? Like they're just the last couple of Premier League games very unconvincing.
It'd be interesting to see if in the press conferences Rose is back actually, because that could make a big difference.
Yeah.
Especially for those of us that have still got Ali, that could be. I know we're talking about Kane right now, but yeah, Rose is back. That could be really good.
Rose is like Liverpool's Mane. He seems to be their main man. Without him, it all falls apart. Ridiculous.
Well, Rose is the case, yeah. No goals imminent needed in that bit then, John T?
Not just yet. I'm mentioning a bit later, actually.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I've just got a contract to honour during the goals imminent table. So I've got something to carry out during that process. Okay, what we're going to talk about now? We're going to talk about Hammer Time. Get the pants out. You can't touch this, John T.
No, I can't. I can't. Although I can. I have got Andy Carroll, so I can touch him if I so.
We're not touching too strongly.
No, he's a big chap. Yeah. So anyway, Atletico Timbo asks. He's quite good with this. He just keeps it simple. Snodgrass, Antonio, or Lanzini. Fancy philosopher. Sorry, no, it's a different question. But yeah, Atletico Timbo. So he's the one who really sums it up, really, because we're looking at their midfielders. I've got Carroll, but I'm not sure I would urge anyone to get him in because of the injury record. If he plays and he's fit, happy days, he's going to score.
See, earlier you're going, well, I've got 9 for game week 20, but one of those is Carroll. So the chances of him making it for 28, 50%.
But the stats show that if he plays, he scores. So I mean, he's really clinical at the moment. 4 goal attempts the last 4. But he's only had 3 starts, 3 goals from them. There's some people point to that and say unsustainable, but he's that kind of clinical striker that I'm not too bothered about those regression. The likes of Jermaine Defoe, Andy Carroll, people whose job is to do, that's what they do. They don't do anything else. So I'm quite happy with that. But yeah, I mean, God, Lanzini. So since we're really looking kind of post-Payet, really. Now it's Lanzini and Snodgrass. They're the ones that are doing the kind of potential assist duty. So they're the ones that are dominating the corners. They're the ones that are creating the most chances. And they're also getting some shots in the box as well. Particularly Lanzini. Antonio's kind of gone a little bit off the radar. I mean, he's getting a lot of goal attempts in there, but Andy Carroll's job is to do that. So I'm quite happy. He scores when he gets those goal attempts. 3 goals from 4. Antonio, no goals from 8 goal attempts. So that's pretty typical for a midfielder who's being in a kind of more attacking role.
Right, he's trying to play up front.
If I didn't have Carroll, so I'm not looking to get another West Ham player, but if I was looking to get a West Ham player, I'd be looking at between Lanzini and Snodgrass because they're involved in all of those things that get points, like assists and getting goals.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Snodgrass is interesting because he's playing number 10. He's not playing out on the right. He's got Lanzini right, I think, or Lanzini left. He'll play Antonio right. Probably if Carroll's back, Faguglia drop out. Snodgrass is in the 10, and he played there for Hull, didn't he, when Silva came in? Not on all the free kicks, not on all the corners because Noble's taken a few, and he's not on pens either. But he's only 5'8", and so for me, I want Snodgrass to be the one. I haven't seen enough yet to be confident in that, but I am considering for 28. I'm even considering him being my hit this week and getting him in for Stanislaus because I'm worried that Stan won't turn up again, but I might give him one more week. But Snodgrass would be my choice, I think, at the moment out of those. Andy, what's your view?
Yeah, I like Snodgrass too. He looks, for the price at least, already created the most chances out of the 3 mids we're speaking about, and he's played less minutes, so quite impressed with him. I like Antonio though. I think still. I think he's still boasting the best stats. He is playing up front sometimes. I know, like Johnny just said, he hasn't scored any in 8 attempts, but we've seen that he can score goals, and I think it's only a matter of time till he starts up again. So I think Antonio will probably be the pick for me, but I'm really interested in Snodgrass. And to be honest, even Lanzini's stats look really good as well. So I think one of those could be a good pick. But their fixtures, I think they've got 2 away fixtures in the next 3. And Chelsea at home in the middle of that. So
yeah, they got Watford away, Chelsea, Bournemouth, so it's not ideal. He does pick up after that, though.
I mean, and Bournemouth is probably going to be goals in that, so that's probably a good fixture away or at home. But yeah, no, I like him. I like all of them. Antonio will probably still be my number 1, I think.
And as what you tempted by Snoddy?
I don't really like any of them. just to be a bit cat amongst the pigeons. I just think they're going to share the goals between them, and they don't score enough goals to really worry me. I had a quick look at Snodgrass's stats before I came on, and I think his touches in the penalty area from when he joined West Ham compared to his average touches at Hull are down. His shots are down. He's not on the penalties. He's only on half the free kicks. It just doesn't really. And if I don't know how long Carroll's out for, if he's back, but if he's hitting, that Fletcher guy rather than Carroll, then there's going to be less chances to be put away. So I'm not a big fan. Lanzini passes the eye test. If we're going to be talking about that, I thought his goal was it last week. He scored the goal, the little chip. I thought that was an excellent goal, and based on that, I'd probably go for him. But they're good prices. But they're probably better than Phillips or Stanislas. But I wouldn't be looking at big transfers to bring any of them in, even with the.
But when it gets near 28, are you going to look their way or not? You're just going to.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not for me. No, I just don't fancy them to do that well. I don't think they're going to score that many, and I think you could easily get 3 blanks out of them.
I think it matters whether Carroll's fit. I think Carroll at Watford, if he plays, will cause them problems. I think it'll cause Bournemouth problems as well. It's whether or not we can be sure that he's going to stay fit. That's the factor. I think it's not. Jonty's got the problem with Carroll himself, but if we had Snodgrass and Antonio, we want Carroll fit as well. So
I think Liverpool have spoiled things, haven't they, as well? Because I can get Manning and Firmino, and I'm almost not looking at any midfielders from any other team.
Well, that's it. I was considering one of the West Ham people maybe, but now with the Liverpool guys, it's easy just to overlook them.
Yeah. Okay, West Brom, the baggies, Jonty. Next question.
Yeah, well, debagging this is, because we're looking, so they're great at the moment. They play lots of games, play game in 26 and 28, and then after game in 29, it doesn't look so good.
Oh, it's shocking,
so game week 29, Arsenal at home next week. After that, Manchester United away. Then they got Watford away, so that could be okay, but they're not tearing it up away. Southampton at home. You never know whether Southampton defence is going to show up. And then Liverpool at home. So these are pretty dire fixtures. So, yeah, if you've got lots of West Brom players, you probably don't want too many of them. So Will Griggs on fire. What should we do about the West Brom players after game 28? And he's put it, a lot of people have Brunt or McCauley or both even. Is just one of them okay? And, what do we do about Phillips? So, yeah, looking at the stats over the last 4, they're not really, none of them are really tearing it up. We know that Brunt is great at home, but his overall stats, because he's not so good away, bringing him down as well. But yeah, Brunt is the one to have. He's involved in all the corners, most of the corners. Him and Matt Phillips are putting in the most crosses. And we know that Brunt at home is great. But the home matches, Arsenal at home, that's, tricky. Liverpool at home, and then Southampton at home. So they're not great. So I think if you've got McCauley, you've got to keep him because he's charmed. He's charmed. He's a lucky charm. So if you've got him, keep him. I think Brunt is actually expendable, and Phillips is expendable now. I think he's absolutely dipped.
I don't know. I think Phillips, Bournemouth and Palace, you've got to keep him for those two. I think he's going to do all right. I think he's going to do all right in those two. You've got to think West Brom are going to get a couple of goals, 2 or 3 goals over those 2 games, surely. And Phillips will have his hand in at least one of those, I think. McCauley, the thing about McCauley is he's a big lump at set pieces, so he can do it against anyone. So that's why it doesn't matter how badly West Brom play, one set piece and it's a goal. Now, obviously, you can argue, well, Phillips and Brunt might be taking that set piece, yes. But as we saw at West Ham, McCauley's just lucky and he's able to get a goal out of a pinball in the box and all kinds of it. He's just there at the death, throw the ball in, put it in the mixer, as Tony would say, and McCauley's in there. So I think he's worth keeping. Brunt and Phillips, they're more dependent on West Brom playing well, I think. They need to play a decent game for them to get points, in my view. But, yeah, so I think McCauley you keep. Those 2 you maybe look at getting rid after the blanks are out of the way because those fixtures they do turn. They haven't got an easy run in at all. So that would be my view. But people getting rid of Phillips leading into these 2, I think are going to lose out. I'm looking at Phillips would be one I'd be looking at getting in, but I just don't think I think there were better options.
Do you think he'll keep his place? Because he was hauled off after 66 minutes.
Yeah.
He hasn't been playing that well from what I've seen.
But he has got a problem, Pullis, because you want to bring Evans back in because he's a class act. And then if he does that, Brunt goes to left back. He can't drop Neon. So Neon plays left back. Brunt goes into midfield. Who comes out of midfield? It's Chadley, Morrison or Phillips, I guess. I would say Phillips is nailed on, but maybe not. I don't know.
I think he's at risk because I think the way Morrison's played, signed a new contract, and Pulis was going on about Morrison on Twitter the other day about how wonderful he was. And Morrison is the one that's getting those goals. He scored 2 over the last 4. And he's the one who's really involved there. And Chadley, he's topping their chances created over the last 4 as well. So, he's playing really well. And he scored as well. So they're all putting in, they've got the end product that Phillips is lacking. If you're an objective manager and you're looking at dropping one of those 2, it has to be Phillips.
That would be a bit harsh, as Tony would say, I think. But yeah, I think that could happen. That could happen. Andy, your view on Phillips? He's not someone you're worried about, obviously, but
no, I definitely wouldn't be looking at bringing him in just for these next 2 fixtures. I think after that it does go south quite quickly. But yeah, I've got him. I can't get rid of him. Like, kind of stuck with him, really, aren't we, because of the blank? So I think his stats have been okay, and he's hit the post a few times, I think, as well over the last maybe 4 or 5 games. So potentially been a bit unlucky. Yeah, Chadley looks like he's possibly the better pick, although he keeps getting hauled off early as well. So yeah, Phillips definitely wouldn't. I don't think I'll be bringing him in. And Brum, who obviously I've been an advocate of for a while now, I'm looking at possibly getting rid of him too. After probably not the next 2 fixtures, because obviously 28 is a blank for a lot of teams. But after that, I know a lot of people in the chat are saying about his home form, but his next 3 home games are Arsenal, Southampton, and Liverpool. I wouldn't be expecting many points from there. I got him for 4.9, so potentially I could keep benching him. But yeah, I'd be looking at getting rid after these West Brom assets. It's only because of these 2 home games and no blanks that we've all got them still, I think.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough. We won't be stocking up any more on that. Attacking defenders, we're looking at Mawson Maguire here, aren't we?
Well, yeah, I mean, this links in really. So we're talking about ditching the likes of Blunt. See, I have Evans. So Evans is first in the queue to be ditched before Blunt. So I'm also in the market for a new budget defender, really. And I think we're going to need that money as well as we're coming into the doubles, because we're going to want as many heavy hitters as we can there. So, yeah, Jack the Cat asks Mawson or Maguire or another when it comes to a good budget defender over the next few. Now, the reason he's mentioned those 2 is that they play game 26 and game 28. They're also looking great as well. So looking at attacking defenders, Scott Dan is still up there. He's still at the top
forever in there, yeah.
Forever will be top of the goal attempts, shots on target, shots in the box. He is there. But second in terms of shots on target and shots in the box is Maguire. So he is doing well there. And Mawson is doing well as well. Not as good as Maguire stats-wise, but perhaps are Swansea a more attacking side? Have they got a better handle on set pieces? Because Mawson's looking pretty handy when they have a corner or free kick.
Oh, he's got Citizens delivery.
Exactly, he's got an absolute expert deliverer of balls there. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at one of my West Brom defenders will go at some point soon, and one of Maguire or Mawson will come in. They're absolutely cheap as chips, and I think they're going to get some clean sheets, not many, but they have that goal threat.
Just to talk on Maguire, I mean, he's a great option right now, but obviously, I mean, Silver has said that when Dawson and Davis are both fit, he will look to rotate because he's got Monocchio as well. So Maguire's not nailed on for the rest of the season. He might be nailed on for 2 or 3. We should be all right through the blanks, but then you're going to have a bit more of a worry because when Dawson's fit, there might be some rotation. Robertson, you haven't got that. He's 4-3 and he's getting forward a lot, and Silver's using the flanks a lot more. So I'm intrigued by that. I am with Maguire but I'm looking at Robertson. And if I don't go for one of them this week, I'll look at that Burnley game coming up this weekend and see what happens there. It'd be interesting to see, because Maguire has fed a lot off the Snodgrass delivery and they haven't got that now. So maybe Robertson could be sneaking up. So for me, I'm looking at maybe changing my sights a bit. Andy, what's your views on this? You got Mawson, so you're firmly in that camp. Have you got a view on a whole defender?
To be honest, I got Mawson because of his goal threat, basically. I actually remember what you've said plenty of times about Macaulay, that you can always kind of rely on him. Obviously, Mawson's got Sigurdsson aiming at him. So, yeah, that's why I got him. I thought I'd get him next week, because if I wanted him this week, I'd never do it because of the Chelsea game. But I think if you bring him one in this week, it has to be the whole defender, because they have 4 really good home fixtures over the next 6, whereas there's only really 2 home fixtures you'd probably want to play Mawson in. Obviously, Mawson's got the goal threat, which is nice, but because they're all cheap, I think they're all benchable as well, which is great for the fixtures, like I said earlier, for team structure. So, yeah, I'd be looking at a whole defender. I was looking at Maguire, but I think I've been scared off enough by their centre-backs coming back and then possibly getting rotated that I would probably choose Robertson now.
Ah, okay.
The thing you don't want to, when there's all these blank stuff, you don't want to get lumbered with someone that's going to get rotated, and he probably won't. It's just how many goals do I expect him to score, and they're going to share clean sheets. So I think I'd probably go the safer route. You don't want to have to be swapping that 4.3 million defender around.
Interesting. Okay. And Az, what's your views on this? I mean, you're looking at a Tigers defender?
Yeah, well, I didn't get Mawson because I was wanting to wait a week to see if I wanted Maguire. And I just look at who Hull have been playing in the last 4 games. They've had Liverpool, Tottenham, Liverpool, Arsenal and United. And they've defended well. They look a lot tighter at the back than Swansea do. So I think they've got better fixtures. So I think they're more likely to keep clean sheets. Maguire's stats, I mean, he can't compare with Scott Dan, but they are brilliant. And if you watch the games, he is a colossus of a man. He's going to cause trouble to defences over the next few games. I think he's got a 15-point week coming. And I think he's the one to get. Rob, you're a bit more secure with Robertson, but I can only see him getting a couple of 6s, and then and then you've got a whole defender, but that's about as far as it goes. Whereas with Maguire, you could even get 2 15-point game weeks. So
yeah, I mean, I think I'm with you. I think I'm still on Maguire. I think Maguire will still be up there in the watch list. We're updating that tomorrow. I still think he's got the edge on Robertson. The thing that appeals to me is, like, if you're going to take a punt on a whole defender, you want to reach for the stars if that's a possibility with a whole defender, and Maguire is that option. Whereas Robertson is a solid there every game, get your 6 points. He'll get a couple of assists between now and the end of the season. Like you say, Maguire's got a 15-pointer in him, I think, like you say, because he's top of the CBI as well. So he's hoovering that up.
He can always establish himself as well. If he gets a goal against Burnley and keeps a clean sheet, he can't really drop him. The centre backs tend to stay quite consistent. So if he goes on a good run, he's staying in the team, you can keep him. And if they don't do very well, then you can just get rid of him because you won't want him anyway. So
yeah. Where are you sitting on this, Jonty? You in the Robertson camp, or are you with Big Harry?
Well, I'm not. I'm actually just not thinking about it too much. I think Harry Maguire looks the one at the moment, but I think we need to have a good look at them. I mean, I think Hull have been a little lucky not to concede more. If you look over the last 4 goal attempts conceded in the box, they're second only to Leicester. Now Leicester have been absolutely piling. They've conceded 9, and Hull have only conceded 4. So I think they've been a little unfortunate. In terms of big chances conceded as well, they've actually conceded more than Leicester. So once again, I think
tough games.
They're tough games, but I think oddly, as they play lesser teams, I think they might get found out a bit. I think they've been fortunate not to concede more. So I need a few more weeks to look at it. I don't have to worry about it until game week 29.
No, you're all right with your 9 players already for game week 28. Sitting pretty. I'm all right, Jack. Fair enough, Jonty. That's fair enough. Yeah, I might go Aguirre this week actually for the Burnley game. I fancy a clean sheet there, and maybe Harry's 15 points will turn up this week. We'll see. Let's do the weekend preview, shall we, Jonty?
Yeah, so we're looking at clean sheets and fancy island risks, and also kind of recap on what we're doing as well. So. Az is here, so he's our guest today. So you can go first on clean sheets.
Well, I'm going to go for Hull,
Okay.
as we've been talking about. They got Burnley at home. Burnley, they lost against Lincoln at home, which was surprising, and their away form's terrible. And I think I'm going to back on Hull, staying quite tight and looking good. I've seen them, although they've conceded quite a few chances, I think they've looked quite resilient. If that doesn't really make sense, a bit of an oxymoron, but I think they're going to keep it tight against Burnley, and they're going to nick a goal and win it 1-0.
I think you're right. Fancy Island Risk we'll do in a moment, so we'll come back to you on that. Andy, your clean sheet?
Spurs against Stoke. I've got Peter Crouch. I'm looking at actually taking a hit so I don't have to play him. So I think there's that.
Really?
Yeah.
You can score against anyone, Andy.
But against the Spurs backline.
His old club.
That's true. I know. I just think, especially if Rose is back and they go back to, I don't think they've played 3-5-2 since he got injured. But yeah, I think that's a clean sheet for Spurs. Nailed on.
Okay, fair enough. Jonty, who are you going for?
Liverpool. Leicester cannot score. Now
as.
Liverpool defence can be suspect, but Leicester can't score, so clean sheet.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea are in there against Swansea, but I've got to back Ziggy for one. Palace, I'm going to go Middlesbrough. Should I go Middlesbrough? Yeah, let's go Middlesbrough. Palace aren't going to score either. Benteke, that fella, he can't crack it at the moment, can he? And, I've got Chambers. He's going to come in for me again, isn't he? So I'll go Borough. They just don't concede. They're a machine at the back. So I'll go Borough. I think There's a few in here as well. I mean, Everton, Sunderland. Are Sunderland going to break through the Everton defence? Maybe. It's all about Defoe, isn't it? Keeping quiet and you're all right. So there could be very few goals or quite a few clean sheets maybe. Fancianovic, let's go to Baz first. Go on, what have you got up your sleeve?
I'm going to stick with Hull. Seems to be the theme. I'm going to go for Markovic.
Yeah, nice.
Because, I mean, against Arsenal and same as Sutton last night, sometimes you watched it, you couldn't work out which was Arsenal and which was Hull. I thought Hull, they were so inventive with Nias and Markovic, and some of the play they were doing was incredible. And I think he was a standout. He's so fast. And
he's deceptive, isn't he? Because he doesn't look explosive. He's not like a Traore, like a big muscular sprinter. He's just swift in everything he does.
I mean, I think Liverpool paid 20 million for him or something, and you couldn't really understand what they were doing. But he's got something about him which, and I think in these last 10 weeks or so, I think he could be a real factor.
No, I think that's a very good shout indeed. Andy, your fancy on this?
Yeah, I'm just going to go for someone else from Hull. I've not actually even seen Hull play in the last couple of games, but Nias up front.
Oh, yeah, I was going to go in.
I was glad you came to me second because I knew he was going to go. I didn't really have anyone else apart from the other Hull players. I think that's a good fixture for them scoring. So, yeah, Nias up front could be a decent one.
Nice one. Yeah, go ahead. All right, John T, you nicked my second one, will you? Go on.
Okay, well, I'm going to turn to my goals imminent table.
Oh, okay, at this point. Okay, go ahead. You just carry on.
The timing. So Negredo, I'm going to go with, if I'm allowed him, against Palace. Palace are terrible. And Negredo is on the goals imminent table. He's just nicked in there. So I think he's going to score against anyone. So
no, it's all good.
That's your bet covered.
Is that 8-1, was it?
Basically, I got 8-1 that I wouldn't be able to eat a pie during goals imminent. So I wanted to make a bit of money out of that. All the boys have laid on, apparently.
Do you know? Earlier, I was asked to do this, and but all I could find was quiche.
Well, that's typical from you. I bet that was from Waitrose as well.
No, it was from Sanchez actually. But I was also pointed out on Twitter to me that it is actually available in Waitrose as well. My ham and petit pois quiche. So I couldn't bring myself to do that. But yeah, well,
£21 out of that.
Yeah.
Might as well earn if you're going to go on about goals.
You have to resign. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
So Negredo is going to be feasting on goal pie. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think Negredo is a good pick actually. I looked at the stats and his stats have increased recently, haven't they? He's really upped it, which is strange because Bella don't create a lot, but they're happy. Him and Stuani have been on the up. Can't speak now. I've got a mouth for a pie. I'll go Ademola Lookman is my choice. I think his stats are strong. John, to back this up. He's probably seen this.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had 4 shots at Bowie. He's unlucky not to score. And I think he'll play. I mean, Morales might be fit, but I think Lookman's going to keep his place. Home to Sunderland, Everton should score in that game 2 or 3 goals. So I think Lookman will be in the points. So I'll go with him. Nias was going to be my first pick because I think there's some short-term gain in Nias, but Lookman's a decent one as well. The other one to look for, I guess, is Van Aanholt if you think Palace are going to score, because we always back Patrick, we always back PVA when the fixture's in his favour, and you've got to think home to Middlesbrough, that's a fixture to look at PVA for. So tempted, but I think Bauer could keep it clean.
I've got another one as well, actually. I actually think Ashley Barnes is going to score.
We're
talking about Hull, but I just think Hull have been turning it up because they've been playing against these top sides. And I think Hull against Burnley is a real classic kind of top of the championship type contest. I think there's actually going to be lots of goals in that. And Ashley Barnes, goals imminent. He's just behind Ibrahimovic. That's how imminent he is.
I know his stats are very strong. And he's another one who's come into the equation as a result of that Lincoln result. And he might well be coming into my team because I need to get rid of Anachibi eventually, or Anichibi, or however you say it.
You're biased as a Brighton fan, John T.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, no, I've been backing Palace all seasons from a fantasy point of view. I've had Benteke for ages, and of course, famously Jason Puncheon.
Yeah, and Cabaye you had, didn't you?
And Cabaye. No, Cabaye I was tempted by, but I didn't quite go that far.
You traitor.
But yeah, now I've gone back to being full Brighton fan. I hope they get relegated and look forward to waving them on the way up.
Well, Big Sam's doing his best in that respect. I don't quite understand what's happening with Palace, but their running is terrible, so I wouldn't go anywhere near them. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Captains and transfers. We talked a lot about transfers. We talked a lot about captains, but let's just summarise it. We'll go to you first, as you're the guest. What are you doing?
I've already sold Sanchez and Mane. I'm very happy with that. I'll be looking at getting Sanchez back when game week 29 rolls up. Not sure who for, but I can worry about that later. I'm going to get rid of Jones, getting Maguire, because I think he's a good option. And I'm going to sell Benteke for Lukaku, which means that this is going to be the week when Benteke gets a hat-trick against Middlesbrough.
Well, he did one against Borough last time. They couldn't handle him in the air. If you remember, that was his first goal for Palace, wasn't it?
I need to get Lukaku. Don't say this.
Okay, so I won't put that. So Lukaku's going to be your captain, is he?
No, Costa is.
Oh.
His record against the Swans, I love those kind of records. And
okay.
Yeah, I've captained him for that game.
Interesting. I thought this was going to be Lukaku across the ball. We'll come to you next, Andy. What are you doing? Transfers and captain?
Captain Lukaku.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Transfers, though, I've got... I'll definitely be bringing in Mane for Sanchez, and then I don't know what to do then. I can either bring Firmino in for Mkhitaryan and play 3-5-2 with Holebas at the back and bench Mawson, or I can not keep Mkhitaryan and do Amat to Coleman and still do the Mane move, or I could just do all three. I'm actually tempted to bring in Coleman for an 8-point hit in total. It will be for Amat, and then not play Crouch and play 4-5-1 this week. As a tempter, but Mane would definitely be coming in. I expect Firmino will come in. It's just whether I want Coleman as well. But Everton's fixtures are so good. I just think Coleman for a hit will repay it, and it means I'm rid of Amat and I'm good for the next blank. And yeah, Coleman's not a bad defender to own anyway. Longer term.
No, absolutely. Jonty, yourself, transfers and captain.
Well, yeah, I mean Sanchez to Mane, no brainer really. Lukaku, I'm going to captain. And I might get Costa for Ibrahimovic. I probably won't, though. I like the thought of keeping 2 free transfers and definitely having Ibrahimovic for Bournemouth at home following week.
Yeah, myself, Mane in for Sanchez, I guess. With heavy heart, Sanchez will go, and I'll risk the Liverpool game. And hopefully Sanchez won't go mad in that one. But I'll have Mane in that. And I think there will be goals in it. I think Sanchez will probably come out with some profit. But you've got to think that Mane will outscore him over the 3, of course. So that's happening. Maguire in from a Matt, probably, to get a Matt out the team. And then it's whether or not I make a third and take a hit this week. I'll have a look at I'll wait for the team news. I'll make the Mane one first and wait for the team news. But I quite fancy taking a hit this week because I want to be brave and aggressive with it because that's a policy I'm trying to keep up. So... that'll be me, I think. And then Lukaku captain. I can't look beyond Lukaku at Sunderland. He's a flat track bully, isn't he? He's got to do it. So you're on your own, as I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But hats off to you for that. We'll see how that goes. I'm banking on Hazard doing something for me in that game. So we'll see how it goes.
I need to do it now, don't I? Because
you do. This is it. Like last week, we all talked about Sigurdsson captain, and there's a lot of chatter about it as well, about Sigurdsson maybe not being we're maybe going too heavy on Sigurdsson as a recommendation, which is fair enough. I respect that view. We have gone heavy on him. And then Saturday morning I was wavering. I was going, maybe I should do Sanchez. Maybe that's a sensible. Maybe I'm being a fool. And I probably was. But I just couldn't. I was like, I can't go back on it now. That would be awful. And I had to stick to my guns. And I'm glad John T did as well. And a few more of us. It was the way to go, wasn't it?
It was 2 handballs away from being a very good move.
Well said.
No, absolutely. What might have been. But I can't complain. Not after Macaulay and Chambers. Lord knows that was fortunate. Okay, thanks for joining us, Az. Thanks for stepping in for Granville. And Andy, thanks as always for your contribution to the Scoutcast, and John T for bringing Rough with the Smooth and the community questions. We'll be back next week to talk more about blanks and double game weeks. I'm sure that's going to run for a good few weeks. But I wonder if we're going to know double game week dates. I think it's going to be after the quarterfinals. We know that was the theory, wasn't it, John T?
Yeah, I think that's what Pacino was saying, we should know that because that's what happened last year. But it could be. He also suggests that game week 37 could be the bumper double game week.
Game week 37. Yeah, I mean, I think that's where the smart money is, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of expected that's going to be the one where we roll out the bench boost, but you may go differently, may go triple cap. We got it wrong last year, didn't we? Let's face it, we got it wrong. We went bench boost 34, triple captain 37, end up with Andy Carroll. That's not going to happen again.
No, we didn't. I mean, I think I certainly captained Aguero.
So you went triple captain 34?
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Andy didn't. We went there.
Oh, did you? You did it the other way around.
Yeah.
I had bench boost. But I was caught out by Liverpool's horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, me and Andy, not only did we have had Andy Carroll in our teams, which is bad enough, we had him triple captain, which is just a crime beyond all kinds of fantasy football laws. We cannot do that again.
Interestingly, for the doubles as well, Chelsea have drawn United in the FA Cup, so one of those, whoever goes through, will then probably skip their double in game week 34.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because it would have been nice to have all the big hitters. But
Yeah, and then somewhere, I think somewhere along the line, we're going to see United or Chelsea possibly having 2 fixtures in a week. Will we see a treble game week? Will we?
Either a treble game week, triple captain.
We've seen it before, haven't we? So I don't know. We started something there. There'll be all kinds of chat about that as well. We'll soon find out, and there's going to be more of this on the Scoutcast for the weeks to come. This is where it all happens now in the next 10 weeks. This is where we make up ground. We think, maybe not. It could be a disaster. We'll see. It's a good night for me.
Good night for me.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, all.